Hello there and welcome to this cast. Today I'm going to do something different, and that is multi-purpose my content. For those of you who don't know, I'm right now doing video recording to train and extend my comfort zone and learn a new skill and teach others to hopefully do the same. So some of you are going to see this on video. Seeing a mic, wondering, I've never seen that before. Other of you might have been listening to my podcast for 6 years and wondering, what's this video stuff about? I will put a link to where you'll find those in this episode, so you can take a look at my other experiment. But enough about that. I want to talk about repurposing and communicating in a different way, because the thing is, I don't usually multi-purpose. I think different mediums is such a big part of the message that where we communicate what really matters. And quite often email, for example, is just me pushing in away things from my plate. It's really rarely an effective way to ensure that actually things happen the way I need them to be done. So I rarely multi-purpose, but it's very effective in using team. And right now, I wanted to see what happens with me doing this. And I can really tell that I'm not checking my gears the way I do. I'm getting distracted, I'm getting focused, and I'm quite sure that you both can hear it and you can see it. So this is all part of the experiment of doing the multi-purpose cast and what happens. And pay attention to that, to anything you encounter today. Is this really produced for this medium that I'm consuming it or using it in right now? Be it a book, be it a video, be it something streaming, being whatever. Ask yourself if you could guess what was the medium this is recording. Quite easy to pick up. Is this something directly into the camera, or is this someone streaming and is capturing that? Was this really meant to be a training material in the business that you're in, or was this really a technical document in the beginning, and then you just got hijacked into this training process that's so important with technical tools? And you can notice you have things you can add there to make it easier, to make it better. So it really, really matters as part of the medium being the message. That's why also we communicate on so different levels. And what happens when we remove so much information to reach that yes, no, go, green, red flag, and you can't really add the substance that makes a high quality decision. So do think about the medium that you're using. And today though, I wanted to talk about intentional actions, and mediums are part of that. Ask yourself, is this really is a memo better than a meeting for whatever I'm doing right now? Is a car better than a train for the end goal I have if I'm going to business travel or to visit family? Where will I end up the most energetic, aka not being drained about all the mixed flights? Or where will I be the most productive? Where can I really use my minutes to work? Use tools that support you and own the difference. Don't just be convenient with changing something. And for example, that's just me missing my phone. And with all this gear, I'm not going to try changing that. I'll try to be brisk and put to the point. And the story I want to talk about today is shifting gears on a car. Because my age, all of us, we know how driving a car works. And it's really good metaphor for leadership and doing the actions required and training and leveling up. And I'm going to go briefly through them with you. We're basically, when I started to learn to drive a car, I was awkward. I was so busy keeping track of everything. I missed things. Could potentially be dangerous. But also, the switching gears part was really awkward. I was so busy with everything else. Something so mundane turn hard, and I was overthinking it. When should I do this? When should I do that? Until eventually shifting gear became automatic. I used to, and I was quite early to learn to drive a car with my friends, and I remember noticing with myself, I don't really know when I shifted to, and after a while I can't even say the number of the gear I'm at. I can't say this feels right. And then I started probing my friends. Do you know when, if you shift geared a minute ago or 5 minutes ago, or this crossing or that? And the thing is, you can tell when you communicate people when the strain of the decision making is gone. You can tell that they're doing things automatic right now so they can focus on a higher level. And that's important, because when we're delegating things at work, if they're so busy, they have to pay attention to the cogs of the shifting gear parts. They're not ready to do the same amount of work you do on the same amount of hours or effort or budget or whatever it is. And that's okay, but we need to take responsibility and watch for that when we delegate a task to someone who's new at it. Likewise, ourselves, if we do something rarely, like yearly reporting or mid-year reviews and stuff like that, we're probably a bit rusty. We probably forget the convenience of just getting into the right gear exactly at the right time. And when we talk about intentional actions, driving with sustainability means driving what's good for the environment might not be good for your minutes. That's an intentional choice you're making. Driving with what's safe for the people around you might not be whatever. So many decisions go into shifting gear, to being ready for that crossing that's coming ahead, to be ready to take that car in an either yummy, nice motorcycle kind of way, or a safe, respect your passengers kind of way. It's very, very different. And you have all the things you can just learn from the shifting gears. Learn about yourself, learn about the culture, how quite often we're not really using the right gear for the right tool or the right process or outcome, or you can say that this engine is really, really overusing this gear. Everything is so urgent, aka low gear. So yeah, you get to speed up early, but you don't have the sustainability the capacity to do it long term. So you can get a lot of these accelerations, but no real output of the team and the organization. You can have so much learning from this metaphor of driving a car, but here comes the tricky thing. When we talk about the medium being the message, you who are listening to this, you're listening to old Rick, you get the metaphor of driving a car. But if you talk to a millennial, one's working for you or who's your kid, they might not even own a car. They might not even own a driver's license. And they don't care, because there's a more convenient way to get where they're going. And you've used so many metaphors for self-discovery, for communicating, for how to get the job done, getting on the journey. You're totally missing the point. You need to pay attention. Is this a good medium, in this case, a good metaphor, a good story to talk about? Are we connecting? I love a story I grew up with when it was I took a leadership course when I was 20-something, and that leader talked about the quality of sound when a military leader had sound they were talking to each other over voice comm, and that lady could tell by the distress in the voice of the other combatants, or whatever you call, where should I focus right now? I think she had 8 channels, 8 people in her ear all the time, and said, no, I'm gonna mute on to number 6 here and see what's going on, distancing everything else. And then they got all high tech on a better platform where they could see on the map, they can see so much more data but they miss that stress level in the tone. That happens when you're going around the corner and you don't really have visibility, but you have all these kind of inputs that sums up this is a danger zone versus I'm going to try speeding through this curve pretty quick, even if I don't see that good. Very, very different. And I think it's important when we communicate and we have this intentional action that we think about stuff. Is this a good metaphor? Am I missing something right now, like the tone of voice? Because they, according to him, my teacher, they removed that system. It was superior in any way, shape, and form, except they didn't have that tone of voice that they could hone into. And I think they added that later, but then with all the other information, the brain deprioritized that tone of voice, making a false decision. So ask yourself, is this really the right medium I'm using right now? Is this really connecting so we can teach from where we are right now? Because if they're just nodding along, yeah, it makes sense what you're saying, but they haven't lived this journey of not understanding which gear is appropriate, trying to fibble with setting the right gear, and then eventually being so accustomed to it, so they're doing that in an effective way without even thinking about it. And when you remind them about it, they can't even recognize when did it happen. Because all done beautifully execution, but not consciously. And that you can train in the office as well, or with connecting with the kids or whatever. But we need to consciously think about it, that so often we take mundane, simple things like this for granted, and we use things that half-measurably connects with the people around us. And they nod along and we think, yeah, we got each other, this is good, we'll use this. And then when tension starts to build up on a deliverable, or say it's Christmas time and you really need the dates to work out or whatever, then we notice, no, we didn't really connect on that. You didn't really understand what I meant when I was referencing that car and that level up, that stress, that way to communicate, that way to get people on board with the journey. Getting there is not all it's about. People also need to be able to relax with your kind of driving and stuff like that. So ask yourself, honestly, is this the right medium that you're using right now to drive the change you're driving? Are you really, and even if it's working effectively with one group of people, it's really dangerous to generalize. But is this effective? Do the individual really connect to what I'm talking about right now? Or do they see the world differently than you do? And if so, they're right to do that. So how can you adapt your medium? How can you adapt your story, your vehicle, to illuminate, sorry for my English, whatever is the key learning here. And if we can't think about that beforehand, what am I really teaching here? Is this really a good medium to do that? Is this a good metaphor, a good vehicle, a good whatever, to train this lesson so they will remember it when they need to act on it? Then that's on us. We can't say, well, they've seen the memo, or they should have done the video training, or yeah, we've had 5 meetings about it. If they don't remember what you taught them when it's critical they do, part of that is on us ourselves. So we have to embrace that and think about these kind of things. And quite often we're so full of bias and nostalgia, we like talking about some parts of the world and not others, where I was using a car reference, I might have preferred a motorbike. Someone else might have preferred a sailing boat where you have the wind and so much other learnings. That's pretty cool, but I don't know anything about. So we have to embrace that. Thank you so much for stopping by on any channel. Thank you again with my humble heart. Take care. Bye-bye.